Welcome to Potato News. I'm Joel Rank, and this is a special International Potato Day edition. With us today is Dr. Simone Heck, SIP's Director General, to talk about the International Potato Center on this very special International Potato Day. Today I have Dr. Simone Heck, the Director General of the International Potato Center with me. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you, Joel.
It's great
talking to you.
It's great to have you here. I think it's your first time on this show, so welcome.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, so as the Director General of the International Potato Center, you have a unique perspective. And so can you tell us what you think the potato's role is as a critical crop for global food security?
Right, sure. The potato today is about the third most important crop for human consumption.
Mm-hmm.
It is a crop that's grown in almost all countries around the world. Mm-hmm. We see some trends on the way that potato is shifting towards Asia. Today, 58% of the world's potato are grown and consumed in Asia. And secondly, it's growing very fast in Africa. What that tells you is potato also is becoming more of a subtropical and tropical crop, mm-hmm. with huge implications for the production systems, for the genetics of the new varieties that are in demand. And as the International Potato Center, we are front and center in this transition.
Mm-hmm. Well, those places you're talking about are really the places around the world that are suffering the most from climate change. And so resilience is something that the countries are focusing on. What's potatoes' role in that resilience?
Right. One of the reasons why potato is expanding in these geographies is that the traditional food systems are really challenged by rising temperatures, by changing rainfalls, by salinity and other factors. Potato proves very resilient in this context. That accounts for some of the attraction farmers have towards potato and how it is actually spreading farmer to farmer and enterprise to enterprise. Governments increasingly recognize the value of potato and are supporting it through policies and investment programs. What we see at the farm level is potato also fits well into rotations with rice in Asia, with maize in Africa. And the new varieties of potato are short duration varieties that fit very well as seasonal crops, increasing farmers' income as well as food security.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that partnership with governments and how important that is. I think we have a really interesting situation in Peru at the headquarters of SIP and the biofortified potato. Can you let us know how important the role of our partners in Peru have been in that process?
Well, absolutely. So Peru is the home of SIP. We were founded here more than 50 years ago. And through all this time working very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture and with our research partners, the Institute of Agricultural Research and the Agricultural University. One of the latest products together, as you just said, is the biofortified potato, rich in iron, as a tool to combat iron deficiency anemia, which is a public health concern in Peru and neighboring countries. Ministry is supporting the development of these varieties and the propagation and now the dissemination of varieties. Working with local governments in the mountain regions of Peru where anemia is particularly prevalent, and working with public programs such as School Meal programs to get those nutritious potato varieties to the consumers that need them most.
And it's really the government that helps us get there, get to the school feeding programs.
Exactly. It's this financial support, it's institutional support to make those linkages with the Ministry of Education and with local governments. Of course, we want those varieties also to enter the general markets. Mm-hmm. And there is already some companies interested in buying into that, mm-hmm. and making sure that their customers have a greater choice of more nutritious varieties of potato. Right. So we look forward to really then taking that also beyond Peru into other countries. And one country really focused on that is Nepal, mm-hmm. almost half around the world, yeah. But with very similar geographies. It's also a mountain region with mountain diets that are inherently deficient of iron. Mm-hmm. And we are sharing our germplasm with the National Research Council of Nepal, who have prioritized that research as part of their strategy.
Mm-hmm. So science is really all about solving today's problems, but also looking into the future.
Sure.
And innovation is a critical part of that.
Right.
What innovations particularly excite you about the future of potato?
Yeah, a lot of breakthroughs are either in the works or have just recently happened on potato. One of the traditional or historic weaknesses of potato and other root and tuber crops is they're quite slow in the breeding cycle, and hence always took many years to develop new varieties, and then those varieties often are lagging behind today's and tomorrow's challenges. Big changes are underway in that respect. Together with our partners in China and other countries, we have developed tools for hybrid breeding of potato. In fact, in March, we released the first hybrid potato varieties in China. That is a great accelerator of genetic gain and of breeding success that will help potato be really competitive in a changing climate, in changing market conditions, adjusting farming systems into the future. So in addition to that, SIP is also very committed to using biotechnology as complementary tools to be more precise in the type of traits in new varieties that can either target specific potato diseases such as late blight. And we have exciting work underway that seems to suggest that this very long-standing challenge of late blight finally is within our sight and within our reach to solve. So we look forward to that. That's focused primarily in Africa at the moment, in Rwanda. That's demand amongst many other countries that now also adopt at the policy level biotechnology as an acceptable strategy for solving food security and climate challenges.
Yeah, certainly solving late blight would be monumental if we could do that. Yeah.
I think the farmers and the consumers around the world really will appreciate that. And it's our responsibility as a science-based organizations to use all the tools in our toolbox, including biotechnology, to work towards solutions together with our national partners.
Fantastic. Let's change gears here a little bit and have a little fun, because science is fun too. So
potato is even more fun than science.
So I'm going to go into the lightning round, where the rules of this game are: I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to try to answer it in 1 to 2 words.
All right.
So here we go. What's the biggest misconception about potatoes?
That they would be unhealthy.
Okay, great. Second question. What's one word to describe the future of potatoes?
Excitement and boom.
Boom, I like it. Okay. What's your favorite potato dish?
It would be the simple roasted potato.
Okay, all right. Now this one's a tricky one, so be careful. Country with the best potato cuisine.
Oh dear, which the country we are right now? Peru.
Peru, okay. The right answer for the Peruvians. Okay. So if potatoes had a superpower, what would it be?
It would be diversity, variability. Potato can be grown almost everywhere, including on Mars, as we found out not so long ago.
Well, more than one word, but I think it's the right answer. So, well, Dr. Heck, thanks for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it and appreciate your insights, and we hope to have you on Potato TV sometime in the future.
Well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to my potato lunch right now.
Fantastic. So, back to you.
Looks like a potato, right? But some potatoes carry much more than we see. Inside, there's science, nutrition, innovation. Biofortified potatoes are developed with higher levels of essential nutrients like iron, helping strengthen diets through foods people already grow, cook, and eat. Because improving nutrition doesn't always mean changing what's on the table. Sometimes it means strengthening the foods already there. Behind every biofortified potato, there's research, breeding, field trials, farmers and communities working together. From science labs to local fields, this work connects agriculture with nutrition and food systems. Because food is never just food. It carries health, opportunity, resilience, and sometimes it looks like a potato. More than a potato.
Potato is improving livelihoods and nutrition worldwide. A special potato has been developed called the iron biofortified potato. And with me today for a special interview is Jorge Andrade, SIP Senior Scientist in Plant Breeding. I'm here today with Jorge Andrade, Senior Scientist at the International Potato Center, plant pathologist, and part of SIP's crop breeding program. Welcome, Jorge.
Hello, Joel. Nice to be here.
So crop breeding, it's really interesting. It's part of a full process. It's with the gene bank and biodiversity where we store it. Crop breeding really takes the crops that we already have and makes something more out of them, or makes them cleaner, more desirable, better yielding, and the like. I'd like to talk to you today about biofortification. It's been on the tips of people's tongues for about a decade now. We have biofortified rice. There's beans. SIP even was part of the World Food Prize for biofortified orange flesh sweet potato. But now there's some interesting developments in potato. But before we get to that, can you tell us what biofortification is?
Okay, so basically biofortification is the process of increasing the density or the concentration of a micronutrient in a staple. So in our case, the staple is the potato, the micronutrient is iron, and the method that we use is conventional breeding. There are two other methods for biofortification. Is biotechnology is the second one, and the third one is agronomic practices. So in the case of biofortified potato, increasing the concentration of iron through conventional breeding in potatoes, basically.
Okay. Now, so why is that desirable? Wouldn't it be just as easy if someone has low iron to take an iron supplement, a pill?
Actually, this is one of the strategies that many governments are using in several countries, but what we see is that it's difficult for farmers, for consumers to start taking these pills, for example. They prefer what they usually eat, so in our case will be the potato. So that is why we choose potato in areas with high anemia because of iron deficiency. So the idea is to have the potatoes in areas where people eat a lot of potatoes. We have anemia on the other hand, and we can combine both to have an integrated strategy combining nutrition and agriculture.
So with supplementation, you have to remember to take a pill every day.
Exactly.
But if you put it in the food they're already eating, you don't have to ask them to do anything different. They can just eat the food, right?
Exactly. And in the case of the highlands of Peru, for example, people eat more than 90 kilos per year of potatoes. So they are used to eating a lot of potatoes. The biofortified varieties that we have now are very similar to the land races that they are consuming already.
So they won't have to adopt a new potato or make a new recipe.
Not really. It's just incorporating a new variety into the portfolio of existing varieties that farmers already have.
Mm-hmm. So at SIP, we already recognize that potatoes are nutritious. That's why we want them to have them in people's hands. So why do we want to increase the iron level? Why not something else like zinc or vitamin C? Why iron?
I think it's because it's anemia, because in several countries where we work, anemia is a huge problem. So for example, in Peru here, we have departments where more than 50% of anemia in children and women. So we already know that potato is a staple, right? A lot of carbohydrates, but at the same time, we find out that there are land races that have high levels of iron. Then we also identified that the genes that control the iron concentration can be used for breeding purposes. Mm-hmm. So we can use in breeding for breeding these biofortified varieties. So there are several steps that we took to release these varieties, to produce these varieties.
Tell me about that. What's the history? One, how long did it take to get to this point? And I understand that we will be releasing the iron biofortified potato broadly in 2027. Is that correct?
Yeah, so the process started in the early 2000s. with the gene bank, with SIP's gene bank actually identifying that several land races here in Peru have these high levels of iron. Then the breeding program started to use these genes and combined with the genes to increase yield, for example, to increase the resistance to late blight, which is the major potato disease, but keeping the quality of the tubers. So the tubers of these biofortified varieties are very similar. The flavor and the texture is very similar to the native varieties. Then another major breakthrough was to understand that the absorption of this iron. And what the scientists here in SIP found out is that the level of iron can be absorbed by the human body quite easily. Is much more absorbable than in the case of legumes, for example. And then another milestone was that this iron can be absorbed by the human body. Then we released these varieties. There are two varieties here in Peru, Scalpa Yauri and Puca Yauri. These are Quechua names, meaning varieties with high levels of iron. These will release in 2024, but now the breeding program is starting to mainstream the iron content into the new varieties. So the idea is to have in the next few years varieties with high iron content for Asia and for Africa.
Did you face any hurdles, any challenges along the way to get to this point?
Yeah, I think the main challenge at the moment is funding. I think that is the big one. We are in the process of producing seed to disseminate these varieties. The target is to reach 1,000 hectares here in Peru. But the main challenge at the moment is funding. So we are fundraising quite actively to get funds to disseminate these varieties.
And now this is an interesting partnership too between SIP and the Peruvian government. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when we launched a project to disseminate these varieties last year, the Ministry of Agriculture here in Peru put us the target of reaching 1,000 hectares for these varieties. So in collaboration with the National Research Institute of Peru, it's INIA, we are working with them to produce the seed and then disseminate these varieties, what we call scale the varieties.
Now, I think that's important because having the government, the authority of the government behind a project like this allows you to go a bit further and broader than if it would just be SIP alone, which we don't do. We always partner. So.
Yeah, that is super important, especially in these interventions where we combined nutrition, agriculture, and also the health system. So we need to be in contact with the health ministry, for example, because they manage the agenda for reducing anemia here in Peru. So having this partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, Health, and SIP and INIA is quite important. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that this technology, this iron biofortified potato, could be used in other parts of the world. So it's really Peru's gift to Africa and to Asia as well. How do you pick a country that you want to take this technology to scale it out?
So now one of the criteria is area of potato. So the countries with the biggest area of potato, these are the priority countries for us, and also the countries with a lot of potato consumption. So for example, there are several countries in Central Asia that eat a lot of potatoes. So and also they have high levels of anemia. So that will be one of the other criteria to take into account.
So if you align where people are already eating potatoes with high levels of anemia, you can get these hot spots where the potato could have a great effect on fighting anemia.
Exactly. That is the idea.
Well, thank you, Jorge. This is an interesting conversation. I appreciate your time, and let's talk again.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Breaking news. An invader from the north, Potato Purple-top Complex, is invading South America. With us today to discuss this insect-borne disease is Jan Kreuze, scientist at the International Potato Center.
Potatoes are one of the world's most important food crops, supporting millions of farmers and consumers. However, emerging plant diseases continue to challenge potato production system. Today, we are speaking with a scientist from the International Potato Center about Purple-top Complex, a growing concern affecting potato crops in different regions. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Vivian. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. So my name is Jan Kreuze. I'm a scientist here at SIP. I've worked here for 23 years, I'm a virologist by training, and I've had many hats during my time here at SIP, but now I'm leading the Regenerative Agriculture Science Goal at SIP.
Oh, thank you. Jan, is a new threat putting potato system at risk?
Yes, we do have a new threat here, particularly in the Andean region, where some years ago a new pest and disease complex entered into Ecuador. Since then it has spread all the way through Ecuador, but also moved into Peru and into Colombia. And it's keeping on moving. And as you already mentioned, that's the purple top complex that we're talking about.
What exactly is purple top complex?
So it's a combination of an insect which transmits a disease. And so the insect is what we call a psyllid. It's a small plant-sucking insect that comes originally from North America. We don't know how it got into Ecuador, but somehow it appeared there. That insect, by sucking the plant itself, it can cause some symptoms. So the plant can get wilted, it can get yellowing. But more severe is that it's transmitting a disease, a bacteria, which is called Candidatus Liberibacter solanacearum. You don't need to remember that name. And that bacteria causes a disease that is, and combined with the symptoms of the insect and the bacteria, we call it the potato purple top complex. That's why, because it's a combination of things. Each can cause their own symptoms, but together it's worse.
What happens to the crop when infection spreads?
So what happens is the plants, they get symptoms. They start, the tops of the plants start turning purple. That's why the purple top. And the leaves curl up. You get aerial tubers. But more importantly, the potatoes themselves, they start getting slightly sweet. The yield is reduced, they don't taste good anymore, and you cannot use them anymore as seed because they won't germinate very well. In North America, it's called the zebra chip disease.
Zebra.
Zebra chip, yes. Why? Because when this tuber becomes sweet, when you fry it, you get these kind of black lines in the chips, so you get the zebra chips. Yeah.
So we have zebra chips and purple top.
Yes, the combination of the two.
Combination. How are scientists tracking and responding to this challenge?
So we're tracking the disease. We're doing surveillance, seeing where it's go, but at the same time we're trying to develop control methods because here we're in the tropics. This is a disease that comes from temperate regions where they have already managed to more or less control it using pesticides mostly, but they have an overwintering, right? So that during the winter the pest gets reduced and things like that. But here we're in a tropical climate where there's crops throughout the years. We're also in a mountainous region where the pest could go up and down the mountain according to where the temperature is nice throughout the year. There are lots of wild hosts where the pest can also survive. So we're doing research and trying to understand all these things. At the same time, we have a project currently going on to kind of develop traps that automatically can detect when this disease is appearing in an area, so you can put them throughout and give alerts so that authorities and we can come in and try to do containment of the pest and disease.
And then that is probably related to my next question. How could climate condition make these outbreaks worse?
Yeah, so climate has a big influence. One of the things that we're doing is also modeling how that pest and disease could spread further. And that also helps in monitoring because you can look where it's most likely to appear. With increasing temperatures, it's going to become a more severe pest. We're also very concerned about, because this is not the first time that this pest has moved from North America to a new continent. So it has happened before to New Zealand, for example. And we're very concerned that it might move to, let's say, Africa or Asia, where it can cause a lot of havoc again. And these are also tropical systems. So if we learn how to manage the disease here, we'll have packages for management of that disease ready for when it appears in other continents, which is something that there's a high risk of that happening actually.
What solution and offering hope to farmers?
Well, there are solutions, but they're not good at the moment. So when it first came, the disease, farmers were either abandoning their crops, so then the pest just multiplies more and more and more and becomes a source for other farmers, or they were indiscriminately using pesticides that were not necessarily effective because it's a new disease they didn't know. So we've been doing research on looking for the right combinations of pesticides in the least amount that can control the disease, and we have some solutions for that. But at the same time, and which is more important, we want to look for more ecological control methods, right? Using natural enemies, biocontrol agents. And we've made some progress on that also, but it's not yet there as a solution for a farmer. So that's more research is definitely necessary. We've also been looking at resistance, sources of resistance against the disease. And also there we have found some materials that are more resistant than others that could in the future be used for control and preparing also for further spread.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Last message about this?
Yeah, in this ever more globalizing world where goods are moving all around, the likelihood that new pests and these diseases get introduced into new places is very high. And usually when a new pest comes in, you get very heavy effects in the beginning because it's for these pests it's like a smorgasbord. There's no natural enemies or anything, so they can often wreak havoc. So we need to be vigilant for these things and prepared for these things. So that's what we try to do here by preemptively developing control strategies before this disease now will appear somewhere else again. Yeah.
Thank you, Jan.
Yeah.
Information and collaboration are essential to addressing this challenge. We invite you to visit Purple Top section on CIP website, where you can explore technical resources, research updates, and ongoing efforts to better understand and manage this emerging threat affecting potatoes and other solanaceous crops across the region.
The potato, humble yet powerful. Today, it feeds over 1 billion people. But its story began over 10,000 years ago, high in the Andes of South America. Early Andean communities domesticated wild potatoes, selecting better varieties until the first cultivated potato, Solanum stenotimum, emerged. A legacy born from the land. Over thousands of years, potatoes became the backbone of Andean civilizations like the Tiwanaku and Inca. Where maize couldn't grow, potatoes thrived. The Inca Empire engineered agriculture to maximize yields. Potatoes weren't just food, they were culture, ritual, and resilience. Even bitter varieties were preserved through freeze-drying to make chuño. Spanish explorers encountered the potato in the 1500s. At first, Europeans were skeptical, but curiosity grew. Scholars, monks, and even royalty helped spread the potato across Europe. By the 1700s, potatoes became a staple in Europe. Yet tragedy struck in the 1800s with the potato blight, causing mass famine in Ireland and waves of migration. Despite setbacks, potatoes persisted. They travelled with missionaries and merchants, taking route across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. Today, they're grown in over 130 countries. In the developing world, potatoes now outpace grains in growth. In sub-Saharan Africa, they're expanding faster than any other crop. A truly global food security hero. The genetic diversity of the potato is immense. Over 4,200 varieties are preserved at the International Potato Center in Peru, where scientists and farmers work hand in hand to protect this heritage. In Cusco's Potato Park, Quechua communities manage 600 native varieties. Their knowledge is rooted in millennia of care and respect for the land. From ancient empires to space-age solutions, the potato continues to evolve. It's more than food. It's survival, tradition, and innovation rolled into one. This is the Odyssey of the potato, a journey of resilience, a crop shaped by history and shaping our future.
Potatoes are eaten by billions of people worldwide, but they're also one of the most misunderstood foods when it comes to nutrition. To help us separate myth from fact, we're joined today by Gabriela Burgos, a Peruvian associate scientist here at the International Potato Center, but also a nutrition expert specializing in food systems and healthy diets. Gabriela, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Joel. It's a pleasure.
So I have a few questions for you about the big misconceptions about potato. So what is the biggest misconception about potato that people have, especially about potatoes nutritionally?
I think that the biggest misconception is the fact that people still believe that potatoes have a relation with weight gain. Many people believe that potatoes are related to obesity, and definitely is not like that. Potatoes, in fact, are not a source of bad energy. 100 grams of potato can contribute with 100 kilocalories. But if you eat 100 grams of fried potatoes, you can provide your diet with more than 500 kilocalories. So the important is how you prepare the potatoes and how you eat these potatoes.
Okay. So nutritionally, what types of nutrients do potatoes provide?
Several types of nutrients. But let me highlight that potato is a good source of vitamin C, also a good source of potassium. We now have also iron biofortified potatoes that are a good source of bioavailable iron. But in addition to all the nutrients that potato contains, potato also have bioactive compounds like carotenoids, phenolics, resistant starch, glycoalkaloids, and all these bioactive compounds have a potential to improve health. And this is something that is not well recognized in potato. Potato is not only a source of energy, but also a source of nutrients and bioactive compounds that are related to promote health.
Vitamin C really fascinates me because most people think if I drink orange juice, I'll get my vitamin C for today, but potatoes do the same thing.
Yes. And also many people believe that no, but when you cook potatoes, vitamin C disappears. But this is not the case. Potatoes, even after cooking, retain to the 80 to 90% of the original vitamin C content, and the contribution to the diet is also significant.
It's a fantastic food.
Yes.
Yeah. So, why are potatoes such an important source of nutrition for families and communities worldwide?
It's a great question, and the answer is that in addition that potato is a nutritious crop, also is affordable for people. Also is a versatile crop. It can grow in different areas, in different type of environments. And it's also important to mention that for communities in the Latin American highlands, but also in the highlands of the Asia and Africa region, potatoes is not only a vegetable, it's the main component of diet. It's a staple crop. So the contribution is not only to assure nutrition, but also food security.
And you can see potatoes in India, it's like almost in every dish on the table you can see potatoes. Yeah.
Every preparation, yes.
Yes. So you talked about biofortified, the iron-rich potatoes. That's a fantastic breakthrough. Can help fight anemia. What's next? What's the next big breakthrough for potato?
It's also a good question, and I think that is the fact that we can still identify potato varieties, but also develop potato varieties that contain these bioactive compounds that help to prevent the cardiovascular health. So I think there is a lot of work around that. There are recent evidence that demonstrate that potatoes contain these bioactive compounds, but we still need human studies to confirm, to have an evidence of the role of potato on preventing cardiovascular diseases.
So not only do people just love potatoes in general, but from what you just told me, they can be very healthy and provide vitamins, nutrients, and maybe even help your heart too.
Yes, yes. We need to stop with this idea that potatoes are only a source of energy. Potatoes are nutritious, but they are also healthy.
So, Gabriela, thanks for sharing your expertise. We really appreciate it. It's
Thank
great
you
to have
very
you
much.
here. Hope you'll come back. And I just want to remind everybody that International Potato Day is May 30th, and that's why we're here today in this special edition of Potato TV. So celebrate and eat more potatoes. The potato is on plates around the world in more than 150 countries. In Peru, it's a special tradition. With us today is Carissa Becerra, a Peruvian chef, to teach us how to make causa, a great Peruvian dish.
Today we're gonna make one of Peru's most iconic dishes, causa. And today we're making it with some very special biofortified potatoes developed by the International Potato Center. Causa is a dish made with potatoes, traditionally yellow potatoes, mashed into a smooth puree and seasoned with yellow chili paste, lime juice, salt, and a little oil. It's then layered with fillings like chicken, tuna, seafood, crab, or many other ingredients. But this dish tells us much more than how to make a recipe. It tells us something about potatoes, Peru, and culture. But first, do you know why this dish is called causa? Its name may come from the Quechua word causai, meaning life or sustenance. And that connection feels meaningful because potatoes have sustained life in the Andes for thousands of years. So let's start cooking. All right, let's talk about our star ingredient. For a real causa, we always use yellow potatoes, papas amarillas. This variety is naturally creamy, buttery, with a flavor that's complex and unique. Today we're using biofortified yellow potatoes, same gorgeous flavor and texture, but with a higher iron content than commercial varieties don't have. And that means they help combat anemia, especially in women and children who are most at risk. Same potato, same recipe, but genuinely changing lives. How incredible is that? Let's get these into the pot and cook them with water, peel them, and make our causa. Our potatoes are ready, and look at this beautiful golden color. We're gonna mash our potatoes now. We have to take our time here because we need the puree to be completely smooth and creamy. And after that, we're gonna season it with some yellow chili paste, some oil, and some salt and lime juice. Take your time here. The potatoes have to be warm so you can smash them properly. We already smashed and pressed our potatoes. We have these very soft mashed potatoes, and we're gonna season them now. They're cold already. We're gonna season them with some yellow chili paste, yellow chili paste is made with what we call yellow chilies. We boil them and then blend them. We take the seeds off because we don't want the causa to be too spicy. We're gonna mix the mashed potatoes with the chili paste. Most people know causa as a delicious Peruvian dish, but behind this dish are some fascinating stories. It's part of who we are. The potato was first domesticated right here in the Andes, and Peru is literally the home of the potato. We have over 3,000 native varieties, each one with its own name and its own personality. Some potatoes are creamy, some are floury, some are red, some are purple, some are perfect for frying, and some are perfect for making causa. When you eat a Peruvian potato dish, you're not having a meal. You're connecting with thousands of years of history. That's something I feel every time I cook. What I love about causa is that it grew out of Peru's incredible potato diversity. Because we have so many varieties, all with different textures, colors, and flavors, Peruvian cooks have always been creative and inventive. The papa amarilla inspired causa. Other varieties gave us papa a la huancaína, chuño, and so many regional dishes you could spend a lifetime discovering them. And potatoes in Peru are much more than ingredients. They represent history, territory, agriculture, knowledge, and identity. They have shaped the way people cook and eat across generations. And now, biofortification is writing the next chapter. We are still celebrating this amazing diversity, just with a little bit extra boost for the people's well-being. The potato keeps evolving, and I'm here for it. Because when you eat a Peruvian potato dish, you're not just eating a meal. You're connecting with thousands of years of history, culture, agriculture, and knowledge. We have our causa ready. We have seasoned the potato puree with some yellow chili paste, oil, and some lime juice, and some salt. We're gonna leave it here while we prepare the filling. We're gonna make a tuna causa today. It's a very simple. You can use any other filling, any other protein, even you can use only vegetables like cooked carrots or string beans. So we're gonna mix some tuna with a little bit of onion. You can put here whatever you want, whatever you like. And we're gonna season it with one of our chilies. So a little bit of chili that are diced, deveined, and deseeded. I'm gonna mix it. And we're gonna blend everything together with some homemade mayonnaise that we already made here. And this is gonna be our causa filling. Here we are. Season it with some salt and some pepper. We already did. You can put some lime juice also here. And this is going to be our causa filling. You can put some vegetables here, as I told you, if you want also. You can mix the protein with some vegetables. So you can do this in a casserole, or you can do it individually, like here, that we're doing, what we are gonna do here in a mold, in a rectangular mold. We're gonna take a portion of our causa and we're gonna put it inside the mold, like covering all the bottom of the mold. The thickness is gonna depend on how much potato versus filling you want. But try to make it very smooth so there are no holes and you have a smooth piece of causa. There we are. We're gonna put some tomatoes that we have already cut very thinly sliced. Some tomatoes. So we're gonna start layering our ingredients. We're gonna put some avocados also. Like thinly pieces of avocado inside. Thinly sliced pieces of avocado. And then we're gonna put on top some of our filling. We're gonna press it down a little bit so everything gets like integrated and it becomes a whole piece. It's gonna be like a piece of cake. There we are. We have a filling of tuna. We're gonna put the rest of the mashed potatoes on top. I'm gonna put a little bit of mayonnaise on top, a little bit of mayonnaise on top. Diced boiled eggs. a little bit of parsley. I'll bring it here. So it has a little bit of color. And then that put in some, let's put this one, an olive. And let's see how this comes out. It's a perfect causa. And here it is, our causa made with biofortified potatoes. Look at this golden color. It comes straight from the potatoes, naturally rich in iron thanks to biofortified potatoes. Beautiful, delicious, and genuinely good for you. That's what I love about this dish. When we cook with potatoes in Peru, we're not just preparing food, we're also telling a story. Thank you so much for cooking with me today in Potato News Live.
And that's it for this edition of Potato News. Thanks for being with us today, and I'm Joel Rank from the International Potato Center.